looking at just what you can do. Stop looking at just your resources. Walk in that thing with confidence and have a little talk with God, and God will show you all. Come on, Asa. If you get in the sanctuary, God will increase your understanding. If you get in a place under the Almighty, He will download on you, and you will see that it's not just you in the situation, but it is you, yourself, plus God. In other words, God will fill your gap. Listen, there are people who never reach their maximum potential in God's will because they refuse to see the whole picture. There are people who are supposed to be doing mighty things in the will of God, and they're supposed to be maximizing their potential in God, but they never quite reach the place where their potential says that they should be, because they only think about what they bring into the table. God says, if we're going to get out the wine press, and if you're going to execute in my will and move towards a prepared and a predestined end of victory, you've got to understand that, yes, I put you there. You are not enough to complete it, but you just walk in faith, and I fill your gaps. Yeah, Elijah, what did he tell the Shunammite woman? What did he tell the widow? He says, just go borrow some empty vases. And when you get them, just go close the door and go get that little bit of oil that you didn't want to brag on. And just keep pouring till the oil run out. She moved by faith and went got those jars, those empty vases, and she closed the door, and her son by faith looking at something dumb and crazy. I got a little bit of oil and I got a whole bunch of vases that are empty, and I'm expecting this oil to fill. I only see a fraction of what I need, but God says just tip the bottle over and start pouring, and I'll fill it in the gaps. We got to learn how to walk by faith. I wish I had somebody, and not by sight. And listen, don't move on. I never would take an assignment of God thinking about what I got. Thinking about what I have in my experience. That's the wrong way to think about it, because if you focus on the fraction, you'll miss the whole. And the whole is that God when God puts you in something, He's never expecting you to complete it by your own power. When God puts you in something, He's saying, I need you there because I'm in you. And when you get there, I'm going to work through you. And that's why God's Spirit had to come upon Gideon, because he needed his body, he needed his lifestyle to work through. So if you are there, and if God is in you, that means God is in the pandemic. That means God is in the struggle. That means God is in the valley. That means God is in the fight. And therefore we shall win. Last time I checked, if God be for me, who shall be against me? So if you're going to look at letter C, if you're going to see the whole, if you're going to be able to count the whole, you've got to have a conversation with God. And that's all Gideon was doing. People down Gideon, people pushed Gideon down on that point. Gideon was depressed, Listen, Gideon was simply having a real conversation with God. God, me you're going to work through. I need you to show me something. Do you know that it took me a whole full year to accept the fact that Purdue had accepted me as a PhD student? I was on campus still acting like an undergrad because I was just wowed. I was blown away with the vastness of the resources. I was blown away with the labs and all of the technology. I was blown away with the vastness of the campus because before coming to Purdue, and I thought as a student, an undergrad student, that Purdue is like Harvard. And it is like Harvard. And Purdue was Ivy League, but they're just Big Ten. They're not Ivy League. Listen, but my mind, it was a high and lofty place, and I did not value myself enough to say I fit there. I'm trying to help somebody. It took a whole year for me to figure out that I'm here for a purpose. It took a whole year for me to figure out that they accepted me not just because of my skin color. It took a whole year to figure out that there was something bigger that was going to happen through me because I was on that campus. It took me a year to figure out how to see it all. But then, once I got it, once I figured out that it's really not about me, once I figured out that it's my GRE. It didn't matter. Those things was not a part of the whole. It was all because God wanted to use me as an instrument. That's the reason why they accepted me.